Imagine a boss so bad, their entire team plotted revenge just to survive another week. Today we're diving into Reddit's worst entitled boss, a story so chaotic you'll be grateful for your 9 to 5. The world's worst boss. Okay, so I've talked about this manager many a time in posts, but I decided today to do a summary of the insanity that I endured under this area manager's reign of terror. I will call her Karen for this post. For context, I was a guy who worked in a UK Burger King approximately 90 hours a week. Wow. I also have myself a union contract that is probably the perfect weapon against this woman. Also, please note that all dialogue is accurate to individuals, but not exact. Whenever she and I butted heads, she genuinely couldn't fire me without causing issues for herself. I was on track to become a manager under the previous area manager who she replaced. She replaced him during a corporate takeover. She then did a bit of shuffling with the 115 managers under her control. What kind of shuffling, you might ask? Well, she fired 82 of the 115 managers across 21 restaurants, although technically 20 as she'd already organised her own store how she liked it. She had a little minion manager who was always following her around or helping her with her vast array of schemes. Or more likely, she got him to do things to shield her legally. I'll call him Kevin because he was a complete tool of a person. If she was an evil overlord, he was her dumb minion. So let's get to the insanity. After Karen had done her purge of managers, there was a sudden shortage of people who could do the ordering and paperwork. The only manager we had in my store was a trainee manager who had no training prior to the purge, and I was left to train this manager. Yep, I was training someone who was set to be my boss because apparently I was too irresponsible to be a manager. Well, one thing about running a restaurant you should know is if you can't keep on top of paperwork or order food at a regular pace, you will run out of food. Well, surprise, surprise, she decided to not fulfill the food orders that she suddenly had to process, except for her restaurant. The other 20 could pounce sand and figure it out for themselves. She was supposed to send someone around to put in the delivery orders, and she just didn't do that. So we did eventually figure it out when we realised we were going to run out of food and drink to serve customers, but it took us an entire week of winging it to do so. Imagine 20 restaurants with managers and senior staff constantly in a text chain, just trying to figure out how to make their first order. Well, we submitted our orders and contacted Karen to put a rush on it. Karen said, "It'll get there when it gets there." I replied, "Well, I've got enough food for less than a day. If you don't fulfill this order by morning, we're closing the restaurants that don't get deliveries." "Well, you can't do that. You need to serve customers." "If I have no food or drink, what am I serving them, you idiot? I'll stay to wait on delivery in case it's late, as will one member of each of the stores. Sort it out or I'll sort you out." And I hang up. Suffice to say, we didn't have a working relationship that was traditional between boss and employee, but I was a hothead. Also, I knew my workers' rights. Well, next day rolls in and no delivery. Doors locked and I decided to put up a sign. It read the following: "Dear customers, we are sorry to inform you that due to a lack of food and drink, we cannot serve you. We look forward to getting back to work and seeing you soon. From your neighborhood Burger King." Imagine seeing that on the door of Burger King as you are ready for your breakfast meal or whatever it is that you're getting. "We can't open because we have no food and drink." It's like that time where KFC in the UK actually ran out of chicken. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And yes, that did actually happen in 2018. For bonus points, I decided to make sure that all the stores that had to close had the same sign. By midday, I had a phone call from Karen's boss. He was a man so simplistic and basic that he is the living embodiment of the Wikipedia page entry for an egg, I'd imagine. I'll call him Dave. Dave, despite being so basic and simple, was a man of facts and figures. So when he asked me why all the stores are closed, I simply explained why, and he checked into it. He was rather confused as to why a lower level store employee had managed to make all the decisions, order everything, and fill out all the paperwork. When I explained that Karen had fired or moved all the other people who could do it, so I just figured it out myself, Dave was one part impressed and another part annoyed with Karen. "So, do you have anything to sell at all?" asked Dave. Well, I got a couple of veggie burger patties and some salads. Nothing that anyone actually buys here. Dude, I'm even waiting on a delivery to refill the Coke machines. Wow, what's Karen said about this? She said deliveries will get there when it gets there. Oh, for God's sake. Well, deliveries won't be able to get there today for sure, but I'll do my best to have it for tomorrow. Okay, you should probably do it for the other 20 stores as well. The only store with anything is Karen's. Oh, for F's sake. Also, considering this F-up was on upper management being flat-footed on the issue, the workers want their lost hours compensated. Yeah, I guess it's the least we could do. Just send me the timesheet for the week and I'll do it. Wait, who's doing the hours there? Dave asked. That would be the same idiot filling out the delivery orders and keeping the place running. And you're not the manager? Well, I was in training to be one before Karen took over the area. Oh, well, it sounds like you'd be better at the job than her. Yeah, a drunken monkey on cocaine would be better in my opinion. So who is the restaurant manager at your store? We don't have one. On the plus side, I can do everything a restaurant manager can do. Health and safety certified on top. So if you have a good pen handy, you can take my full name and details to do whatever bureaucracy is needed. Yeah, nice try. I can't do that unfortunately. Bugger. You mean that I gotta tolerate her BS? Well, yeah, firing an area manager takes a lot. She'll get a shorter leash, but nothing more. You know, I'm looking at your employee file and you're on a list of people who've been blacklisted on the promotions list. Why the heck would she put you on that? Probably because she's aware that I can, will, and shall kick her butt up and down a courtroom for this BS. Get me that list, I'll get a solicitor and give you a reason to fire her. Okay, whoa there, I think that's an overreaction. Overreaction? I'm doing a manager's job for half the pay and none of the title, whilst training her dang managers. In a civilized world, I'd get recognized for my good work, not punished because I have a spine. Alright, I'll get your name removed from her blacklist and see if I can't encourage a promotion for you. Well, we both know that if she has final say, she won't even go for the interview. She knows that I'm better than the rest of the candidates combined and has me train the idiots that she picks. Okay, well, that stops now. If she tries to strong arm you on that one, let me know and I'll deal with it. If you don't deal with her, I'll deal with her myself. Just remember that. Wow, OP is a strong character. And with that, I hung up the phone. The next day, the delivery came first thing. Even with that, organizing people in a hurry was not easy, as I was not a manager, and I didn't have anyone who was to compel them really. The ones who came in were literally working out of desperation for money or me cashing in a favor. In the end of this first part, it set a tone for me and my working relationship with this crazy Karen. Okay, so that is the end of the first part of this post, but there are 3 more to come, 4 in total. And if you thought that was bad, just wait for the next 3. Stuff gets even more insane, with one part even being called the bomb story, so you're going to want to stick around for that. But anyway, as for this first part, I just think we're seeing a prime example of a person who is in a role that they're just not very good at, and they feel threatened by other people around them, notably their subordinates that are clearly just better at their job than they are, you, and they're just trying to survive the best way they can while protecting themselves. I don't think Karen really cares for the good of the company at all. She just wants to make herself look good. And I've also got to say that Dave, surely he could do more. He seems like a reasonable man, but he's like, oh, no, I know you're probably better at your job than Karen, or better at her job even than Karen, but I can't really do anything about it. Well, why not? Isn't that your job? You're Karen's boss. Do something about it. I don't know. Now for part 2, how to get a bonus. First observations of Karen's new managers that she wanted me to train was that she didn't get the best of the best. She got loyalists to her rather than leaders. Granted, occasionally there was a diamond in the rough, but very few. Most were bullies towards the staff, to which I threw them out of the restaurant personally before calling the hand and saying, never send them back. It sounds insane, but because of my union ties, it does give me a little bit of leeway with the company to essentially deal with hostile managers by asking them to leave and reporting their actions to superiors within the company. Suffice to say that after a week or 2 of managers being sent away from me, Kevin decided to show up in person to talk to me. Remember, Kevin is pretty much Karen's assistant. He was probably tired of sending managers to other places so they can get passed by him at a later date. So, we go into the dry store, which is where all unofficial yelling matches with superiors happened. Kevin said, Why can't you simply do what we've asked you to do and train the managers we send you? Because they're a never-ending sea of jerks and idiots, it would seem. Send someone more like Annie and Paco and I'll train them. Send any more of those bully types and I'll send them away. But it's not your decision who we hire. As per my contract, I have discretion over who is in this store as my boss. So I suggest you take your attitude and shove it up your butt. And if you want a say in the store, how about you do some dang work in it? I tell you what, OP does not shy away from these confrontations. I mean, how are you not getting fired here? How dare you, Kevin replied. Oh, shut up. You've dumped yours and Karen's paperwork on me along with a task that I'm not being paid or promoted for. If you want me to run this restaurant, then I will, but you better pay me the right money. And if I need to train managers as well, I'll do it, but you better not forget my promotion with it. That promotion got rejected by Karen a month ago. Then I guess someone else will have to do your job around here and train your managers, because obviously I'm not qualified enough. Hold on, let me make a call to her. And so I went out to do my actual job whilst he got on the phone to Karen, apparently. 5 minutes pass, and he comes into the kitchen area where I was busy helping. Hey, I just got off the phone with Karen. Can we talk in private? It's busy. I'm helping. And you want me to run away to the closet? No. Anything you want to say to me, you can say it here. Partially because I don't trust your fat butt, and partially because we are doing actual work. So say it and get lost. Well, Karen agreed to your terms. You'll be put on the list for promotion. Fine, but send competent and capable people then. We'll do our best. Great, now get lost. And with that, he left. 2 months later, I still hadn't been promoted though, and I was annoyed. They'd passed off 4 months of paperwork, job training, and BS onto me, which by all rights they shouldn't have done. So I logged a complaint with HR, and after a long meeting with HR, Kevin, and Dave, a few things were decided. 1, I was to stop training managers. It wasn't supposed to be my job, and I was never supposed to do it. 2, I was to be rewarded for all my hard work with a £2,500 bonus. 3, Kevin was to be suspended for 2 weeks, no pay, and was given a written warning, which stated if he ever made false promises again, then he'd be out on his butt. Whilst it's possible he made the decision to lie on his own, it's also possible that it was Karen's plan, and he can't prove it. He was her favourite pawn because despite regularly getting burned by her, he for some reason was loyal to her. Unfortunately, it was confirmed that I couldn't be promoted because Karen had filled my file with notations that I'm a hostile person. Well played, I figure. And probably a little true in regards to her. Well, yeah, to be honest, I would say that OP has come across as pretty hostile, so Karen's not wrong there. But then I would be very hostile as well if this was my working environment and stuff like this was going on and I had no real hope despite doing my job pretty well. And yeah, like just dealing with all this is crazy. I will say that a lot of the time with these stories, we do have to remember that we are obviously only getting this from one person's perspective. But what a perspective it is. OP, you're doing great so far. Let's get into the next part now, which is called the bomb story. So, it was the first Friday in May of 2018. We have here in England a bank holiday called May Day Monday. I've no clue on the origins of it, but the first Monday of May, we always have a bank holiday. Annie had to get in early due to the fact that another new manager decided to quit after letting in the morning staff. Annie had messaged me to let me know, but said I should rest up for once, as I'd already done 65 hours that week. So I got in at 3 PM instead of 9 AM. I get in with Annie doing her normal handoff to Paco, and I was going through with the staff all the basics like what's been going on, is there anything I need to know about nuisance patrons, stuff like that. Anyways, Annie bids me goodbye at 4 PM as usual, so she can go home after the handover, and Paco got a phone call on his mobile minutes after she was out the door. 2 minutes after that, he comes to me. He says, "Look, sorry to do this to you, my friend, but I just got a call that I got the job." "Not to worry, we can finish up the shift and celebrate after," I said. Yeah, about that. I'm heading off now to celebrate with my girlfriend." "Dude, are you kidding me? You know that means I've got to do all the paperwork." "Yeah, well, you're good at it anyways. Also, it'll be my only chance before I start my new job tomorrow morning." "Are you sure you can't stay?" "Yeah, look, you've got this. Take care, my friend." And before I could reply, he was gone like the wind. Well, heck, now I had to figure out the shift from there while trying to figure out how to tell Karen that one of the more competent members of the management team she'd promoted just got a new job because he got the promotion. I thought about calling Annie, but asking her to essentially come in to work for free for 7 hours after she'd already gotten in early and stayed until 4 was kind of a D move. So I just called Kevin to inform him of the information because he was fresh off suspension. I'm sure that he needed some good news. Hello? It's me. Look, Paco just quit for a better job. Have you got another manager to cover for the night shift? No clue. Let me check with Karen and I'll get back to you. Fine, just make it quick. 20 minutes later, the office phone is ringing and I pick up to Karen. I'm coming over now, and you better have a good explanation as to why one of the managers who you recommended be in your store just quit. Sure. How long are you going to be? 15 minutes. I'm leaving the Fareham store now. Wow, Fareham, that is funny. That's not too far away from me. I mean, it's a couple of hours, but it's not too far away. A lot of the time, these stories are in America, and the fact that this is in Fareham, I can really relate to, so it's cool. Anyway, with that, she hung up. So she was on her way. Bear in mind that until this point, she'd never met me in person, only over the phone, as Kevin was the only one I'd met. Suffice to say, she'd made a point to avoid me until now the best she could. I guess Kevin chickened out with dealing with me on this one. 20 minutes pass and she's just getting into the store. She makes a beeline for me and stops not 2 feet from me before poking my shoulder. Hey, why the heck did he quit? What did you do? I stop what I'm doing and I turn to face a woman who was barely 5'3", probably in her late 40s, and with a resting female dog face that could stop Rambo in his tracks. Okay, let's try again. Who the heck do you think you are poking me? I'm Karen. I told you I was coming. Jesus Christ. They all said you were a pain in the butt, but seriously, what kind of person does that? Again, I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit confused as to how you are able to get away with speaking like this to your boss. I understand the union thing. Maybe it's just sort of like, if you fire me for this, I have all of this on you. So that is the deal. Anyway, Karen continued. The kind who's annoyed. So why did Paco quit? Well, he said he got a better offer. You know, one with a less trashy contract. I happen to think that we have a great contract for our managers. Yeah, well, I've seen them. They're not. Is that seriously all you wanted to know? Where's a replacement manager, or are you doing that tonight? I'm going to stick around for a bit and see what the heck is going on around here. Well, in that case, put on your hat, badge, apron, and tie your hair to the appropriate ponytail. You do not give me orders. You are my subordinate. And you are in a place where I'm in charge of the health and safety of both customer and staff, which means, your royal goddamn highness, you have to abide by all health and safety policy and get proper footwear on for the kitchen if you're going to be in it too. Can't be walking around here in 2-inch heels. Until you're properly uniformed, hands washed and gloved up, you've got no business being anywhere but the office. A look of shock and rage swept her face before she snarled, pivoted and left. 5 minutes later, coming back in uniform, including the shoes. Right, where were we? A front counter member said to me, OP, there's a guy who wants to talk to you from security. So I then just say, well, I'll be right there. Excuse me. So I go to the front counter and there's a security guard in the shopping centre. Younger and a little chubby, but all around not a bad guy. But why would being chubby not make him a... Okay, we're going to move past that. Anyway, he says, look, hey, they've found a bomb in the harbour and they want everyone out of the shopping centre. Wait, seriously? Yeah, in the water, but they don't take chances. Mandatory evacuation from the harbour line. You know that. Alright, I'll take care of it. Can you let the customers in here know to leave immediately? Sure thing. With that, the security guy turns and starts informing customers, whilst I inform the team in my own way. Alright team, hustle up, stop what you're doing. We are immediately closing down now. I've just been told by the shopping centre security guy that an explosive has been found in the water. Those of you who have been here a while know the drill. New guys, you're about to learn it. We're to clean up immediately, shut everything down and leave it in good condition for the morning staff. The hood cleaning will not be done tonight for obvious reasons. I want 2 people from kitchen in the dining area with Nate to get it done quickly. I want all front counter teams to cash up their tills with me and clean up the counter. Come one at a time. Then Karen gets involved. Hold on, what are you talking about? We can't close down. We can and we will. It's a live explosive on a seabed filled with potentially dozens of them. We have instructions from law enforcement to clear out ASAP. We're gonna follow that. This is a private establishment. We do not need to cooperate unless compelled by a court order or head office. Are you saying that you are willing to sit here, potentially less than 30 feet from a live explosive that has a blast radius of at least 50? Well, I'm obviously not, but it will be your jobs to stay here nevertheless. Okay, she's an idiot. Ignore her, I say. With that, the team got to work as I started doing office close down proceedings. Then Karen decided to come into the office to poke more. Shouldn't you be running for the hills by now? I meant what I said. This place is to stay open. And I meant what I said when I told them to ignore you. You only have authority that I permit you to have, and you know it. And when you are willingly attempting to endanger lives, I'm going to go over your head and call Dave. I'm sure he'd love to know what you're doing. You'll never get through to him. He won't pick up for you. That's what lying is for. I'm going to say that it's Kevin. What, so after all that rubbish on honesty, you're going to lie to get a phone call? Well, morality is flexible to me when lives are endangered by a reckless idiot. Now, get out of my office and stay out. And again, she storms out. But not before locking the kitchen door entirely and blocking all staff's suitable exits. While she's doing that, I'm getting through to King Robert. Dave says, "Right, who is this? Because I know it's not Kevin." "It's me," I say. "We have a situation. We've been asked by law enforcement to evacuate the site, and Karen is trying to get us to stay open and blocking staff from exiting." "What? Tell me you're joking." "Honestly, I wish I was, but you can't make this craziness up. She won't do anything without a direct communication from head office." "Oh, for God's sake, has she had a stroke or something?" "If she has, no one here will help her now. She just announced to all of us that we are to stay, and she is to flee." Dave just sighed loudly down the phone before hanging up. I carried on, and then I saw the security guy by the front counter again. I approached him, and he had a police officer there with him. "This gentleman here says that your boss is refusing to shut the restaurant down," the police officer said. "Yeah, she's the crazy lady blocking the staff from leaving. Hop the counter, officer, and feel free to arrest her, preferably with a taser. Don't tempt me." So the police officer hops the counter and goes through the kitchen right up to Karen. As he does, some of the staff who couldn't give enough of a dang started hopping the same counter to get to their lockers. "Officer," I say, "this is our esteemed leader Karen, who seems to think that we should be sacrificed if there's a whoops moment today, but she should maybe get out of here. Karen, this is a police officer who can tell you why that is a bad thing." "Madam, I need you to let..." But Karen interrupts the police officer. "Get out of my kitchen. You have no business here." "I'm going to need you to open the door for your staff to get out." "They're not going anywhere, officer. I literally just informed Dave of this BS," I say, "and he's going to deal with you on this one." "You're lying. He's always lying. I'm sure we've arrested him plenty of times, officer. He's a gambler, you know." "Gambling's not a crime, madam. However, reckless endangerment is, so let your staff out." "Well, why should I?" Her phone started ringing. She picks it up and it's Dave. The reason I know this is because I'd been slyly texting Annie this madness, and she in turn had called Dave herself after me. Also, the amount of rage in his voice was inconceivable, I thought. This was a man so bureaucratic that if you were to pick a colour that represents him, it would be plain white. His idea of excitement was probably driving a single mile an hour over the speed limit on the way home, and now he was about to go off. Dave was annoyed and yelling, "Have you had a stroke or something? Let the staff out and get out of there. You're suspended for 2 months, no pay, and if you offer anything other than full accountability for your BS today, then I will fire you. Just because I gave you some power, you don't have a reason to do what you've done these last 4 months. I'm not dealing with a union drive in stores because you were willing to let them get blown up. We're not in America where rules can be fast and loose, so stop LARPing like we are and do as you're told." And before she could say a word, he hung up. Yep, this man of constant calm literally just called to yell at her so loud that it could be heard over a kitchen that was in the midst of closing down. Regular madness and about 5 foot of air. Suffice to say, she looked at me with a scowl before unlocking the door. The police officer marched her outside, and later on it was decided by someone that she could be let go with a warning from the shopping centre that she was banned from for the next 3 months. Yeah, she got a temporary ban in a shopping centre that she had a restaurant to run in. We cleared up pretty quick afterwards, and once we did clear up, it was a matter of scattering. The aftermath. True to his word, Dave did suspend Karen and used the time to hire additional staff. Karen received a written warning as well, alongside being made to go through empathy courses and management courses, along with workplace health and safety courses. The police, I think, pressed a minor charge as a warning, and instead of jail, she pleaded out fast and argued that the stress of the job made her do it, earning her 90 days community service. Yeah, the stress of the job means you ignore the police when they say there's a bomb. Very, very good. Did Karen become more humble afterwards? No. I'm pretty sure she actually just became more bitter. Did she ever get fired in the time she was working with me? No, she's still there now. Is this the worst thing she ever did to staff? Not even close. But it was the closest she ever got to being fired for sure, based on the fact it was what they could prove. Did I ever get a promotion? Nope. But I was fine handing the reins of the place over to competent management nevertheless. Less paperwork. Moral of the story: if you have a company hack that will try and endanger your safety or your life whilst fleeing, go over their head and get out of the situation. It doesn't matter who you are if your employer tells you that your life is to be sacrificed so they can flee and you don't work for the military or intelligence services. Then tell them to pound sand because you are not disposable, even if they should be. Wow, ignoring a bomb alert from not just a security guard, but then the police. I don't know if it gets much more stupid than that. By the way, stay tuned. The final part is upcoming, but I just have to comment on what I've just read there. This woman, I mean, we knew she was dumb, but ignoring a bomb alert? Well, actually not even ignoring it, saying, I'm going to go. You guys stay here and keep making burgers though. I don't care if there's a bomb underneath you or not. Doesn't matter. That is ludicrous. By the way, where this takes place is in a city called Portsmouth in the UK. That's where Fareham is. And it's on the south coast. So yeah, I can definitely see how, like, I don't know, like, yeah, there's a bomb in the sea. We're going to have to close this. Could happen. But this is just ridiculous. I mean, it's actually insane. Actually, Portsmouth, funnily enough, and this is a really fun fact, not to take you away from the story for too long, but it's actually an island. And I didn't know this until not that long ago, but it is actually an island. How crazy. Okay, now for the final part of this story. Don't mess with health and safety. So in my job, I was also a fully qualified health and safety officer with credentials. These credentials earned me a bonus in pay and the ability to travel between stores to assist. Or at least it did until the franchise got taken over by some corporate goonies who decided that a smart move was to remove all credentialed health and safety officers and make untrained managers the new health and safety officers. This company, despite the fact that it is Burger King, and obviously is a huge company, does sound like it has some big operational flaws. Maybe that's to be expected with a company this size, but I would expect more from Burger King, I'm going to be honest. Like, it's one of the most successful brands in the world, and this is going on. It's interesting. Anyway, the new health and safety officers politely allowed the crew members with credentials to find new employment with their blessing, or let their credentials run out and stay as crew members in the company with the opportunity to become managers. Well, when this rule came in, my credentials had literally been redone a month prior. So with a full year almost to be a health and safety officer, I could essentially just chill out and do my thing, I figured. The problem is, in the UK, getting a job with a local council, you need a car license, and I only have a license for a motorcycle because I'm cool, right? Anyways, on with the story. So after Karen came back after the suspension due to that bomb incident, she was ready for war with me. She came in with fire and fury in her eyes, ready to go full female dog mode on me. I mean, I did have her arrested last time we met, so I suppose that's fair. So she walked in, commanding everyone's attention. Now, she couldn't fire me, but she could be a pain in my butt forever. I was in the middle of yet another 90-hour work week, as per usual, because she understaffed the store deliberately, and I was not in the mood for her trash. OP, after the last time I was here, we're gonna rearrange how we do things here. You're gonna obey me from now on, she demanded. Okay, here's your problem with that. First, you're in heels in my goddamn kitchen again. Put on proper footwear, I started with my big voice. Second, your power tripping is not my problem, but if you push your luck, I'll become yours. Thirdly, if you want me to do my job and only my job, I will, but that means you'll be taking on a lot more responsibilities because for the last 6 months, I've been doing mine and most of yours. The whole restaurant was sat in silence. Wow, was this in front of everyone? Amazing. It was like time froze in that moment as Karen realized how much more work she'd have to do. Then she proclaimed, "Fine, I'll deal with the paperwork. Just do your job and just the job you've been given only." All right, works for me. In that case, as the licensed health and safety officer, I must insist that you put on proper shoes, put on a hairnet, and come into this restaurant in full uniform, including apron. If you don't do this, I'll have to have you escorted from the store again. Now get out and don't come back until you're in proper attire, I ordered her. Now for those thinking that this is insane, normally yeah, you'd be right, but when you're a health and safety officer, you can basically write up the CEO for not tying his shoes correctly, if you wanted, with no consequences. So a little area manager didn't frighten me. She did comply with my demands, and while it took a couple more goes for her to get the message to come in full uniform at all times whenever she was in my store, she did learn. It was sort of like I was the guy from Jurassic Park training the raptors, just trying not to get eaten by them. Karen was malicious in trying to get me to comply to her through giving me trashy jobs, trying to screw me out of pay, and just randomly coming in screaming over something not in my job description. But while she might be the raptor of the place, I was more like the T-Rex. I could stomp around, throw my way, and absolutely wreck a person's day if I wanted. Any person's day. Now, I never did this before because managers were nice before, but when you're a petty tyrant, you're about to find out that I am the god of all pettiness. Over the next couple of months, I found excuses to visit lots of the stores in her area and write up every minion manager of hers for infractions in health and safety policies. Food left out too long, write up. All on the floor, write up. No apron on in the kitchen, write up. Forgot to put out the wet floor sign, write up. Not wearing the correct shoes, write up. Basically, all 21 of her area's stores suddenly got a visit from me, and all of them were failing internal health and safety reviews a month before the government's review was due. This got Karen very annoyed. She decided first to try and force me to pass the internals. The problem with this was she had no stick to hit me with, and I held the carrot that she desperately needed. She tried only paying me for 40 hours a week of work, underpaying me by about 200 hours nearly for that month. Well, that went down like a lead balloon as I promptly threatened to sue the company, and suddenly I got paid the missing money with an extra 100 hours worth of pay tagged on for no particular reason, I'm sure. Then, after receiving a tongue lashing from her boss and meekly apologizing to me, her next tactic was bartering. She promised to promote me and sign off on me getting re-credentialed. I asked for it in writing. She said, yeah, she'd get it to me in no time. She didn't. Shockingly, her managers started failing even more than usual. It makes you wonder if there was a correlation to the events, right? 1 week until the government health and safety people were due to start reviews, and the franchise CEO decided to come down for a visit to figure out the issues. Well, this was where begging came into play for Karen. She was desperate. I laid out my terms. Get your offer signed in writing and I'll get you through this visit. Well, she refused to do that. She couldn't yield to a lowly crew member. How dare I demand she put her offer in writing? I mean, that would mean she'd have to follow through on it. Well, with her refusal to bend the knee to me, as it were, she had what was next coming, I figure. She had the CEO visit coincide with my shift, figuring with the CEO she could show off that we're pals and never worry about the government folk, right? Well, wrong. I told her the day before the visit to make sure that she and the entire CEO entourage comes in full health and safety approved attire. She didn't pass on the message, I guess. In all honesty, if she did, at least she might not have had this next part happen. She strolled in with the CEO, the regional manager, the business manager, and all their corporate monkeys in tow. No hairnets, no correct footwear, lots of beards with no beard nets, and one poor corporate monkey with a cold. Well, I did warn her. I guess it's time to show her how petty I can be. She walks right up to me, puts her arm around me like we're buddies, and goes, "And here is OP, the ever-diligent health and safety officer around here." Karen, what did I say yesterday? I ask. I told you to pass on that this entire entourage, is supposed to be in the correct attire. I see beards with no beard nets, hair everywhere with no hair nets or hats, incorrect footwear, and that dude has a cold. I pointed to the whole group. Please, don't be like this, she begged me. What's going on, Karen? The CEO asked her. Well, what's going on is your visit is going to be cut short unless you comply with the health and safety policies. We handle food here, and I'm not wasting the entire kitchen's food because of hair in it, that guy sneezing a loogie on one, and someone slipping on their butt because they couldn't put on the correct shoes. We have spares in the back, get him on and come back. Except the sick guy, send him home. I instructed with both a hint of a demand and respect in my voice with the CEO present. This is the CEO, OP, Karen pointed out, hoping that would give her mercy. I don't care if it's the bloody Queen of England. Fix the issue or bugger off, I snapped back. The CEO looked me in the eyes with a smirk before saying, right, well, you heard the man, do as he says. And kid, I'm impressed with you. You've got some balls for sure. Suffice to say, the smug guy I was back then directed them to what they needed, and they did their inspections as they needed to. They watched me direct the staff around masterfully whilst Karen was left to basically sit in the corner and stay quiet because none of the staff would listen to her. The CEO thanked me for my diligence and my service with the company as the stores that I went into were passing their government reviews with flying colours. He even signed me off on getting myself re-credentialed for another year. Karen might never have promoted me, but the CEO named me the Employee of the Year for 3 years running after that. I tell this story as I now work in a new job prepping to get re-credentialed again. I only didn't get re-credentialed after the other year was up because the credentials were expensive to get and I couldn't afford it on the money I was on without assistance. The moral of the story is don't mess with health and safety officers. We are the true masters of the universe in any business. I won't lie, if I was a government health and safety officer today, I'd probably take my petty revenge to pro level just because I could. So, lucky for Burger King, I guess, for now. So, there we go. That is the end of that story. Yeah, phenomenal. Hope you guys enjoyed it. An extended episode, of course. I wasn't going to read the entirety of that, but as I got more into it, I just got engrossed. And I feel like you guys hopefully did as well. That was crazy. I still have a couple of questions about this. That's just the cynic in me. For example, the CEO says you're Employee of the Year 3 times in a row and likes you, right? Why can't he then give you a promotion? Does it not work like that? I don't exactly know how the franchise system works when it comes to who has what role or whatever, but surely the CEO of a particular area, franchise, or I don't know if it's the actual company itself, obviously not, we're in England, but you know what I mean. The CEO of X should be able to give a staff member a promotion, I feel like. Not just have to go through the standard, okay, your boss gives you a promotion, that's it. I don't know how it works. If you do know, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, that is it for this story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. That was Reddit's worst entitled boss ever. And yeah, she was pretty bad. If you guys did enjoy this episode and you like the newer sort of style, the new thumbnail, the fact that, you know, it's a more sort of packaged episode, I suppose, where everything sort of relates to itself in a way. I'm trying a slightly different thing with episodes on this channel. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know if you liked it. I also posted one the other day, which I'll put on screen here if I remember. Similar sort of vein. This is the craziest wedding stories ever on Reddit. So check that out if you enjoyed this one. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will catch you very soon with some more crazy Reddit drama.